Toyota have just come out and said it. They made some very bold claims. They say that selling 300,000 hybrids is the same as selling 90,000 EVs. Let me know what you think. How do you feel about this? Is that actually true? I mean, objectively, clearly not. I'm not really sure how they think this works out and why they think customers will somehow agree with that. I mean, technically, the battery in this iPhone here is clearly much bigger than the battery in this old Nokia, but nobody actually wants this, whereas they do want this. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Great to have you tuning in. Welcome back, everyone else. Thanks for supporting the channel and thanks for coming on board within the last just over a year and a half since we started the channel. Nearly about to hit 100,000 subscribers. Just want to thank everyone for their support. It's been an amazing journey. I've really enjoyed bringing you guys the news and as much of it as possible, and not just giving you one side, but trying to give you an angle on everything that's going on. This is the biggest disruption in the history of the economic workforce in the last 100 years. It's happening right before our eyes. One product is being displaced by another. You know, I really think back in 1905, 1910, around that period of time, there was a lot of people who didn't believe that the car would replace the horse and cart. I think a lot of people were in denial back then as well. There's a lot of people in denial now. I don't think anything has changed. Toyota themselves, clearly, they're in a very interesting form of denial. They don't believe that customers want EVs. They've said this so many times now in multiple countries around the world, and I believe that they think that in 2030 they can just keep on selling hybrids and people will be willing to pay the same for a hybrid as they would for an EV. And remember, I mean, brands are coming out and saying their EVs will have double the range within 5 years that they do now. So if you can get an EV with double the range, let's say 500 to 800 kilometers of range for the same price as a hybrid, what would you buy? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, Toyota can't seem to grasp why it's being criticized for its lack of progress in fully electric cars. And the fact that realistically, it still doesn't plan on producing many. In fact, they're saying that less than 20% of the vehicles they produce in 2030 will be fully electric. But it doesn't matter because there'll be a hybrid for everyone. The Japanese automaker is making headlines all around the world after an executive went off on a tangent, and this has happened many times. I haven't reported on them. I hear this almost every day on Toyota. I figure you get sick of hearing it, but this was enough that you needed to know. He said he defended Toyota's carbon reduction efforts and their future EV plans. And he's very frustrated that Toyota is being criticized for not making EVs. Now, yeah, Toyota does have an EV, the BZ4X, which isn't currently on sale because it was recalled. They sold about 200 of them, recalled them all, and they offered to buy them back. A little bit like remember the GM EB1 that General Motors bought back and then scrapped. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be like that, but it hasn't gone so well. Now, there is another EV that Toyota are bringing out very soon. In fact, it's going to be an electric Toyota Corolla, but it's manufactured by BYD in China. And the world's largest automaker is standing by its position to not rush into EVs despite the overwhelming demand growing in every primary market. Now, General Motors, right? They have more than 400,000 reservations for their electric vehicles. They have more than 350,000. Tesla have more than 1.5 million pre-orders for the Cybertruck, more than 2 million pre-orders for vehicles, period. BYD have 700,000 pre-orders. There is no gas automaker in the world with a single model with more than 20,000 pre-orders. And Toyota still believe customers don't want EVs. That's strange. So Electric says that almost every automaker has turned to a pre-order system for their electric models because they can't keep up with orders. There is so much demand, they have no choice. In fact, there's so much demand that companies like Ford have had to pause pre-orders and just stop people from ordering, period. According to the International Energy Agency, the IEA, electric vehicle sales are on pace to hit another global record this year after almost doubling in 2021 to 6.6 million. EV sales in China, for example, absolutely through the roof. With new government incentives and rebates, electric vehicle adoption is expected to continue gaining huge momentum as production capacity comes online. Automakers switch their focus to EVs, EVs get more range, and they come down in price. Despite this, less than 2 months ago, the EVP of sales of Toyota in North America said, I don't think the market is ready for EVs, citing high costs and a lack of infrastructure and charging. Now, I'm thinking, that maybe there's people working at Toyota in the US and of course in Japan, maybe they're just like hanging out on, like automotive enthusiast sites where people are just into like race cars and stuff where, everyone there still doesn't want to buy an EV, but that's a very small percentage of the market. That's probably like a 1% niche market. The reason I say that is look at all the models Toyota has brought out recently. They keep bringing out these, the Toyota Yaris hot hatch, the Toyota Corolla hot hatch. Then they've got the 86, they bring out a race car version of the 86. They're really focusing massively. They're clearly investing hundreds of millions of dollars into their gasoline performance cars recently. It's a real push going on there at Toyota for those vehicles. It's sort of like a fight against EVs. Now, in response to that, the IEA has said deployment of publicly available EV charging points increased by close to 40% in 2021. And when I say in response to that, Toyota said North America isn't ready for EVs because there's not enough charging points there. The same thing, they've said the same thing about Australia, many countries around the world. No one's ready for them, there's not enough chargers. Well, how do they think things are going to go when the about 150,000 charging points that have been announced that will be built in the US are built within the next 12 months. The same thing's happening all over the world. New federal incentives are expected to drive the number significantly higher this year and next year. The US DOT announced $5 billion in funding under the National Electric Vehicle Formula Program, part of the bipartisan infrastructure law to build an EV charging network across the US over the next 5 years. Meanwhile, Toyota's first attempt at the BZ4X, it hasn't gone so well. But Toyota did say now that they're going to invest $4.4 billion in a battery manufacturing plant in the United States. So I'm wondering why they're choosing to invest. That's a lot of money to invest if you don't believe people really want EVs. Bit of a strange thing to do, right? 2 weeks ago, Toyota CEO told reporters, I would stick with a hybrid strategy, stating playing to win means playing with all the cards in the deck, referring to offering fuel cell alternatives, hybrids and EVs. Now, Toyota is still very firmly convinced that people want hydrogen-powered vehicles, even though they barely sell any. I mean, they've been available for years. They're still very expensive, and realistically, 99% of the people on the planet don't have access to hydrogen. In fact, it's about 99.999% don't have access to it. But, about 70% of the people on the planet have access to electricity. Now, clearly, Toyota are presenting a unified front. I mean, there's people in all countries around the world working for Toyota, CEOs of each country, marketing professionals saying that people don't want EVs, or that most people don't. Only some do, only a small fraction. Here in Australia, Toyota Motor Corporation said this: we believe that you have to have a diverse range of technologies. The point is that carbon is the enemy here, not the powertrain. Well, if carbon is actually the enemy, then why would a hybrid vehicle be a good solution? I'm confused. Hanley continues, explaining Toyota is in full support of some mandated type of legislation for reducing carbon emissions and believes carbon neutrality must be achieved. However, in Toyota Motor Corporation's words, this is Steve Hanley from Australia, he said, what we're disagreeing on is how and when you get there. Now, the reality is Toyota has spent actually millions, many millions of dollars lobbying governments around the world to not support EVs and to not create situations where there are CO2 limits on cars, because if there are, Toyota will have to pay companies like Tesla for carbon credits. Now, according to Toyota's calculations, 3 hybrid vehicles are equal to 1 electric car. So Toyota believes that because they sold 300,000 hybrids in Australia, that's equivalent to selling 90,000 electric cars. Now, it's interesting mathematics here. I want to know what you guys think about these maths. I find them just like laughable. I hear this stuff and I think this is a sinking ship. This is what you say when the ship is sinking and there's just nothing left to do. You just have to grasp at any straws you can. Now, obviously, there's no doubt that hybrids play a role in reducing emissions. I mean, if every vehicle in the world that wasn't an EV, if every gasoline-powered vehicle in the world was a hybrid, that would be a good thing. That'd be a step in, that'd be better than where we're at now. But the truth is, there's a better product. It's available, right? There's a much better product available. There's software on wheels, cars that update themselves over the air. Toyota wouldn't have a clue how to do that kind of stuff. The truth is, Toyota's operating in comparison to many EV companies a little bit in the dark ages. This whole kind of thing where you have technology on wheels, battery on wheels, this is something Toyota they don't know how to do it. they haven't produced a compelling electric vehicle. Look at the reviews of the BZ4X in the US. I mean, these are reviews written by this media. You know where the media get paid? Toyota pay them. Toyota spends more money on marketing than any automotive company in the world. They do. That's a fact. So these companies, right, these businesses, journalists reviewing Toyota's vehicles, they know that they're biting the hand that feeds them, and they still didn't give the BZ4X glowing reviews. In fact, they were very critical of that car. Then Toyota recalled them. And frankly, it's not going very well when it comes to the EV rollout for Toyota. So all I have to say is, Toyota, if you're watching this, if any of you working at Toyota are watching this, I personally know that criticizing you on this channel means my revenue goes down. You guys don't advertise on my channel at all, but I'm willing to accept that because I don't want to lie to the public. I don't want people to lose. I don't want people to lose value on the vehicles they buy. If you buy a Toyota today, yeah, I reckon in a few years' time, you'll find that the residual value, the resale value of that car will have gone down. Sure, there's huge demand for vehicles, period, in the world. Well, particularly in Australia right now, there's just not enough vehicles being made and shipped here. But eventually that will fix itself up and that supply and demand ratio will come back to an equilibrium. And when it does, the value of gasoline powered cars is going to go through the floor. It's inevitable. So if you're about to buy a new vehicle, don't buy a gasoline powered vehicle. Otherwise, you're just set to lose a whole lot of money. If you want to buy a gasoline powered vehicle, just buy one used. That's my recommendation. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.